We're going to start from setting up our work environment. If you already have Linux installed, then you can skip to the good part, to tips and tricks section. The first software we need to install is VirtualBox. It's a management tool for local virtual machines. So we go to a search engine and type in there VirtualBox download. And the very first link is the one we need, as it leads us to the official VirtualBox website, virtualbox.org. We click on that link to move right to the download page of the website. Here we can see all the possible download options for different operating systems. Ours is Windows, so we click on the first link. Then starts the downloading process. After it finishes, we launch the executable file that has just been downloaded. We easily go through the setup steps in a way like next, next, finish. And the VirtualBox window will show up in the end. We're going to leave it for a while until we download Linux Ubuntu, which we are about to install. So we switch to our browser and make new search request, which is Ubuntu download. The first link, which leads us to ubuntu.com website, is the one we need. So we move to official Ubuntu website. Here we scroll until big green download button. But before we press it, let's discuss the recommended system requirements listed on this page. So, it's 2 GHz dual-core processor, or better, 4 gigs of RAM, 25 GB of disk space. But in fact, if you're going to use Linux Ubuntu for study cases only, you might reduce these requirements by 50%. A little life hack from a teacher. Anyway, we press the download button to get an ISO image of the latest Ubuntu. Keep in mind that this file is quite heavy, several gigabytes, so it can take some time to download it. When it's done, we switch to VirtualBox window to create our brand new virtual machine. So here we go to the machine menu and pick the new option. Then we fill in a pop-up window fields, virtual machine name and folder where its files will be located. Please note that the chosen hard disk has to have at least 20 GB of free space. As we mentioned the Ubuntu word in the name field, the VirtualBox interface automatically filled in for us the type and version drop-down lists with appropriate values. We press next to go to the further step of virtual machine creation. Here we choose the amount of RAM and the number of CPUs. As we saw on the web page, the recommended amount of memory is 4 GB. But for our study cases, 2 gigs is also enough. So let's pick 2 processors for better performance during the installation process at least. And let it better be 4 GB of memory. Click next. In the next step, we define the amount of disk space that our machine will use. Make sure you have that amount of gigabytes on your disk drive. We will leave the recommended amount as the interface offers us. In the next step, we can check all the options we have set for the machine that we are about to create. If everything is okay, we click Finish. And our virtual machine itself has been created. But it's empty, so there is no any Linux yet. And to set it up, we have to install Linux from the downloaded ISO image. So we do the right mouse click to enter virtual machine settings. In the settings pop-up window, we pick the storage in the left menu. Within the storage devices list, we need the one with compact disk logo and the title empty. And now by pressing the disk sign on the right, we choose an ISO image of Linux Ubuntu that we downloaded before. Now most likely our virtual machine will get started automatically. If it doesn't happen, we can double click its icon on the left. Now we will go through the steps of Ubuntu installation process. It's pretty similar to Windows installation, but if you haven't done anything the same before, don't be afraid, there's no black magic. Every step is pretty reasonable. Now we pick the first option, try and install Ubuntu, in the black window menu, and wait a little for the installation process to start. In the welcome step we choose Install Ubuntu. In the next keyboard layout step, we can choose the preferred language and keyboard layout. We're leaving here everything as it is, i.e. English by default. Click Continue. Here I would recommend picking minimal installation, so that it doesn't include a lot of software we don't need for our study case. But it's up to you. Click Continue and Install now. Confirm by pressing Continue again. The next step offers us to choose the time zone, but usually the one it defines itself is suitable. Now we're going to fill in a username, computer name, and a password to login. I would also tick the checkbox Login automatically, so that it doesn't ask us after each reboot. Click Continue and go get some coffee, as this process will definitely take some time. We will fast forward it to save your time. It offers us to restart, we agree. Okay, great. Now it's our first launch. Probably Ubuntu will offer you some first setup. If you want to, you can go through it or click Quit. Our goal is to launch the terminal. So we press All Programs button down in the bottom corner and type Terminal in the text box. Then we pick the icon it offers us and bingo, here it is, our terminal. This is the window we are going to spend all our course in. On the taskbar we can remove the icons we don't need, and it could be convenient to add to favorites our terminal window. By default, Ubuntu checks for updates periodically and offers us to install them as well. If it shows the window about it, we can press Install Now button. Update process though can take some time too. Most likely we will have to reboot again. And one more final step before starting using our brand new Linux Ubuntu. It is recommended to install so-called guest additions. It is a piece of software intended to ease our life in virtual machine. For example, it helps seamless mouse movements between host OS and virtual machine. So, to install them, we go to Devices menu. Here we pick the last option, Insert Guest Addition CD Image. If it doesn't automatically open a window to initiate installation, then we manually press the CD icon on the taskbar and in the open folder find autorun.sh file, right click and pick Run as Program menu option. It might ask us to enter our user password. We do it and everything else will be done automatically for us. Now we finally can open the terminal window again and start enjoying the process of learning Linux terminal. So let's dive in. In this section we installed VirtualBox, the manager of local virtual machines. We installed the Linux Ubuntu operating system and launched Linux Terminal, our work environment for this course.